Welcome back. Ever feel like no matter what you do, that you feel like the bad guy? Me too. Hi, I'm Sandy. Today we're going to talk about the persecutor role in the trauma triangle. If you haven't already seen the other two videos that I've done in the series, check out here, the first one, and I'll have it all linked below in the description of all the videos. They should be linked on the end too. So if you watch till the end, they should all be linked correctly too, hopefully. Anyways, so the persecutor role is what it sounds like. So again, the triangle is persecutor, victim, rescuer, persecutor, victim, rescuer. You get the idea. So originally in the first video of the series, I think, I even mentioned that I wasn't really sure about how I have shown up in the persecutor role. And I was thinking about it because when I said it, I'm like, that doesn't sound like a fun thing to be. So I have been thinking about it, and the persecutor role is so interesting. Now that I've thought about it and I've done a little bit of research, one of my groups, they were recently talking about the trauma triangle. So something else to know that I haven't said in the other videos is the trauma triangle keeps everybody in codependency. So it's codependency related, which makes sense. So the persecutor can be anything or anybody. I was listening to this last call with a group that I'm in, and they were talking about, this one lady was talking about how this bag of chips she was projecting the persecutor role on this bag of chips. So that was another thing too, that I had to look at it from that perspective, is other people projecting that role onto me. And then we get to decide if we want to take that on. So for example, the reason why sometimes we might feel like we're the bad guy, we might be the bad guy in somebody else's story. I know I'm the bad guy in my dad and my brother's story. I don't care. They can have that story. And just to review the other two, the victim usually feels powerless and the rescuer tries to save, just as a brief reminder of what the trauma triangle is. So the reason why I brought up the lady with the bag of chips was because that triangle is familiar. That feeling is familiar to us. So we want to keep reenacting that. That's why my dad is going to be stuck in the victim role, victim mindset for probably ever, because he doesn't know how to live life other than that. And he keeps trying to find people to reenact the triangle. We all do that. That's why this lady is using a bag of chips as a persecutor. I'm sure I use food in a different way sometimes in that regard too. I eat a specific way and it makes life more difficult in other ways. So I don't know. That one's a little tricky for me. I can see where she wants to lose weight or whatever, and the chips were something, it was a rebellion. Having the bag of chips be the persecutor, then she gets to be the victim and then rescue herself later and go around and around to get that feeling. So what can somebody do if they don't realize that they are in the trauma triangle, if they want to get out, or if they happen to notice, if they watch this video and they happen to notice, hey, wait a minute, she's talking about that just happened. Now what do I do? First of all, the awareness that the triangle exists is super helpful. The knowledge of it has been super helpful. I explained in one of the other two videos about me really putting it together, having the knowledge of it, and the actually feeling of it from a different perspective really helped. So the first one is awareness. The second one is when you're really going to feel like the bad guy because you start putting boundaries down, and the people that really enjoyed you not having boundaries will now see you as the bad guy real quick when you start putting boundaries down, but it's a way to get out of the cycle. So it's the stop. So basically, summarize some boundaries in that would be to stop over rescuing and blaming. She was blaming the chips in a way. Wasn't like, you are bad chips. No, she was using the chips in that way. So she was blaming the chips. So toward the end of the conversation, she was empowered. So empowerment is the next one. So you switch from the blaming into responsibility. She's like, yep, I wanted the chips. I just ate the chips. There's just no So a practical way that you could look at it would be pause before you react. Ask yourself, okay, am I playing a role here? Am I playing the victim? Am I being the persecutor? Am I projecting the persecutor on other people or things? Then communicate your needs clearly. A note of encouragement, you're not the villain. Your nervous system is reacting to the triangle that keeps you stuck. Where do you see the triangle in your life? Drop it in the comments below. I'd love to hear it. There's going to be more in this series. I'm going to talk about boundaries and some other codependent things related to the trauma triangle. If you want to be alerted for the next one in the series, hit the subscribe button and share this with anybody else that you think could benefit from it. If you want to see the next one in the series, click here. If you want to check out my generational trauma playlist, click here. Bye.